Shalom, beloveds of the King. Shana Tova, Happy New Year, as we have entered into this calendar New Year, the biblical, real New Year according to Exodus chapter 12, verses 2. This is when Abba's biblical New Year has started, and this morning, Father has given me on this day of the 10th of April 2024, a prophetic word to be able to release over his remnant bride. And this is the message that Abba wants to be able to give us with all the scriptures. May these scriptures be a prophetic declaration that comes over your lives and what the Father is saying, in what the Father is doing for this new season that we have entered into. As we know, gross darkness is on the horizon, but his people shall raise up and shine his light, because we are to arise and shine, for our light has come, for the glory of Yahuwah has risen upon us. Gross, dense darkness will cover the earth, but they will come to the brightness of our light. So may this be a prophetic release for us to understand times and seasons that we have entered into in this time. So the first thing I want to say to you is that the Father has given us a word for this new year, and the word is recalibrate. Chaya. That is the word, to recalibrate. What does recalibrate mean? Recalibrate means restoration, means recalibration, to restore, to reset, to bring back to the truth, to come back, to come to zero, to come back to his blueprint. So if you want to see what recalibrate looks like in your mind's eye, it is going to be, close your eyes, see a scale, balanced scales, to come to an equilibrium, to come to a place of where you are totally and utterly secure. In equal balances, you have to be recalibrated. And so this is what the Father is saying, and that is why he's going to bring a reset, and he's going to bring us back to the truth of his word. And that scales is made up of spirit and truth. And we have to be recalibrated now, being able to be steadfast in spirit and truth. And that is the word chaya. And that is the word that the Father is saying to us in this hour. We need to recalibrate. That is what he's wanting. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is roaring. The Lion of the tribe of Judah will go before us. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is the one that is going before us. And we are to follow the Lion of the tribe of Judah. The Father had showed me how the Lion of the tribe of Judah was roaring, and he's breaking off the chains. And now he's giving us keys. The keys of the kingdom. That is what the Father showed me on Shabbat, that he said, go fetch keys. And the very first scripture that we are going to open up with is the scripture in Psalm. And we are going to Psalm 142, because this was the scripture that the Father gave me on Shabbat when I had to take up 5 keys. His grace that is being given to us now in the season that we are entering into, where gross darkness is coming upon the earth. But we have his unmerited favor. We have his grace, and we have to walk in his grace. And so he has given Psalm 142, and we will read from verse 6, and this is where a lot of us might be. And a lot of us has been from the last season. And it says, listen to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are too strong for me. Bring my being out of prison. So the Father is saying, He's giving us the keys of the kingdom, and He's going to deliver us out of the prisons where we have been bound. He is the one who has the seal. The seal has been broken. We have to understand what we are coming into. The seal has been broken, and He is going to release His seals. He's going to release His seals. And so His trumpets are going to sound. His horsemen are going to ride. And there are things now that are about to unfold upon the earth like we have never seen. So He needs to bring our being out of prison. So everywhere where our lives are still stuck in a prison, where we are not being able to be released into the truth of where we are bound in darkness, be it in our mind, be it in our will, be it in our emotions. Father says, I've given you the keys of the kingdom. I'm going to unlock doors. I'm going to close doors. And I'm going to release you from where you are bound. So that we can give thanks to His name, to give thanks to your name. Let the righteous gather around me, because you deal kindly with me. So we will be surrounded. The righteous, those who are of the same heart, same mind, are going to come together, because we will be able to dwell with the righteous. And you, Abba Yahuwah, will deal kindly with us. And so we are in a time now that let us go look at Exodus chapter 40. If you want to understand the season and the time of the new year according to Abba Yahuwah's biblical calendar, that starts now, as we now have our countdown to Pesach, that will be on the 23rd of April. This is the word that came to the Israelites in Exodus chapter 40. And from verses 1 and 2 it says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, On the day of the first new moon, you are to raise up the dwelling place of the tent of appointment. So this is the hour and the time when we need to be able to raise up as His tent, the tent of appointment, where He wants to meet with us, where He wants to have habitation, not visitation. He wants to indwell our bodily temples. He wants to indwell. And then He says in verse 12, And you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tent of appointment and wash them with water. That the Father is now going to wash us with the water of His word. That the Father is going to bring the rivers of living water that need to cleanse us, that need to wash us, that need to be able to get us to be recalibrated in the truth. And you shall put the set-apart garments, so that we can become set apart unto the Father. So we need to be set apart in truth. That is the recalibration, setting us apart in truth, because His word is truth. And you shall be set apart. You shall put the set-apart garments on Aaron and anoint him and set him apart to serve as priests to me. It's time that the Father now wants to raise up His priesthoods to be able to serve Him as priests, but those that have been recalibrated, those that now need to be able to stand as a set-apart people in truth and in His Ruach HaKodesh to be able to work, flow in the Ruach HaKodesh. Because if we go look at Acts chapter 15 from verses 17, and this is what he says. From verse 14, Shimon has declared how Elua first visited the nations to take out of them a people for His name. So the Father has been taking us out. Even though we are in our nations, He has been taking us apart. He's been setting us apart. He's been cleansing us. He's been cleaning us up, setting us apart. And the words of the prophets agree with this, as it has been written. After this, I shall return and rebuild the booth which has fallen down, and I shall rebuild its ruins, and I shall set it up so that the remnant of mankind shall seek Yahuwah. So now is the time for the remnant of mankind to seek Yahuwah, even all the nations on whom my name has been called. So the remnant of mankind, we as the remnant of mankind need to seek His face, to become His hands extended, to become His feet extended, to become a tabernacle that carries His glory, so that they may see Him. And even those that are called by my name has been called, says Yahuwah, who is doing this. So that the remnant of mankind shall seek Yahuwah, even all the nations on whom my name has been called, says Yahuwah, who is doing this, who has made this known from of old. That is the season and the time that we are now coming into. And then Father gave, as we closed off our Torah portion yesterday, as we came to the close of our Torah portion, and as we now embark into Bereshit, where we now come into the fullness of being able to walk with the Father from Genesis to Revelation, where we need to have this scales being balanced in this time of our recalibration. Father was giving us, as we embarked, as we were being thrust forth into this season, and He gave us Deuteronomy chapter 33 from verses 2, and it says, and He said, Yahuwah came from Sinai and rose from Seir from them. He shone from Mount Paran and came with 10,000 of His set-apart ones at His right hand, a law of fire for them. So He is the one that is raising up in this hour, and He is going to be able to gather His saints. He is going to be able to gather us, because He is the one that has come from Mount Sinai. We are those that have been raised up. He met with us on Mount Sinai, which means thorny. So it's this place of where we've been in the thorns and the thistles and the thorns of the flesh, and where we've needed to die to our flesh. He came from Seir. The Seir is the word, the root word is Sahar, which comes from, it's the storm, it's the shiver, it's the dread, it's the very afraid, be very afraid, come as a storm. So it's Yah's action against the wicked. So be horribly afraid. So the whole world is going to be horribly afraid of what is going to happen upon the earth. Because Seir means devil. It means a goat. It means a demon, which is from the word satir, which refers to a demon. It refers to a demon-possessed goat. And so it's a devil, it's a goat. And the root word is Sahar. So he will come like a whirlwind. So Yeshua is coming, beloveds. And then he comes from Mount Paran. And so this is going to be, so he resurrected out of the grave. He resurrected out of that place of the dead. He went to the underworld and he resurrected on the third day. And now he's coming from Mount Paran, from the root word par, which means glorify, beautify, adorn, to be glorified. So, purah means branch, shoot, which is Yeshua. And he comes with his set-apart ones at his right hand to decree a law. And they will be flames of fire. They will be burning coals of fire. So understand, Abba Yahuwah's fire is going to come upon the earth. And you need to understand, you are either going to be able to be set apart by the fire of his purification, or you're going to come under the fire of his judgment. And that is why, if we go look at Revelation, so let us just continue to finish this word from Deuteronomy 33, and it says, so he's going to come, and indeed he loves the people. All his set-apart ones are in your hand. So all his set-apart ones, so this is for his set-apart ones. All his set-apart ones are in his hand, are in your hand. And they sat at your feet receiving your words. So we now need to sit at his feet receiving his words. He's the one who's going to open up our mouths, and he's the one who's going to give the word. And that is what he's doing. We need to open our mouths. That's what he's been doing with me. As I have opened my mouth, he is putting the words that need to be spoken. It's no longer what my mind thinks. It's no longer what I am trying to figure out. It's what he is speaking at the moment that he wants to speak it. And he says, Moshe commanded us a Torah, an inheritance. The Torah is our inheritance. We will not enter a promised land without his Torah, without his law, without his instructions. The Torah is his instructions. And that is what we're going to need. We're going to need instructions, because how are we going to be able to come back to being able to be in this recalibration if we are not going to come back to the truth of his word? So his Torah is his direction and his instruction. It's his precept, it's his statute. And it comes from the root word yara. And that is to shoot an arrow, to point out, to direct, to teach, to instruct, to flow as water like rain. So to flow as water like rain. So it's the water that's going to flow, and it's to teach. It's the teacher that points out to us the truth. And so if we go to Revelation chapter 3, let us go to Revelation chapter 3 so that it can all come together for us. This is the church of Philadelphia, the set-apart remnant, those that are raising up, that are going to become his tabernacle, that are raising up in this hour. And this is the prophetic word again being released. And to the messenger of the assembly of Philadelphia write, he who is set apart. So he's coming with his set-apart ones that will be with fire. So they've gone through the purification of the fire. They will become the flames of fire upon the earth, and you will understand this in its fullness as we are going to read this from the word. And he says, he who is set apart, he who is true, he who has the key of David, who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens. So the Father is said, this is the season. I'm putting keys in your hands. I'm putting keys in your hands because I'm opening the prison doors. And I'm releasing you out of the place where you have been in prison. And I'm going to give you the keys of the kingdom, so that that which you close will be closed. That which he opens will be opened. So he is true. So understand, there is again our recalibration scales. He who is set apart, we need to be set apart in truth. And he who is true, set apart in truth. You cannot be set apart in your own understanding. You cannot be set apart in any other kind of teaching. You can only be set apart in the truth of his word. Now is the hour to be set apart in his truth. He who has the key of David, he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens. I know your works. I have set before you an open door. The Father says today, I set before you an open door, and no one is able to shut it. No one is going to shut the door. He's opening the prison doors now. He is the Lion of the tribe of Judah that we are going to follow. He goes ahead of us. He goes before us. He's the captain of the army of hosts. He's Yahuwah Tsabaoth that is going to lead us into our promised land. And he says that you have little power, yet have guarded my word and have not denied my name. That is the criteria for his remnant. They will have guarded his word and they have not denied his name. And then he says, see, I'm giving up those of the congregation of Hasatan who say they are Yehudim and are not but lie. See, I'm making them come and worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you. Because you have guarded my word of endurance. We have to endure. We have to endure the trials. We have to endure the tests. We have to endure the persecution. We have to endure the things that are coming ahead of us in the days ahead of us. I also shall guard you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon all the world to try those who dwell on the earth. He shall guard you. He shall keep you from the hour of trial that will come upon all the earth. See, I am coming speedily. Hold what you have, that no one take your crown. Where did he give you the crown? Church of Smyrna, where you were tested and tried 10 days. Now he says, let no one take your crown. See, I'm coming quickly. Verse 12, he who overcomes, I shall make him a supporting post in the dwelling of my allure, and he shall by no means go out. And I shall write on him the name of my allure, and the name of the city of my allure, the renewed Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my allure and my renewed name. So understand, his name, Yahuwah, his city of the renewed Jerusalem. Now listen to this word post for you to understand who we need to be. The post is the word stalos, and that is a pillar and a column of fire. Flames rising like pillars, a support. We are to become pillars of fire for his kingdom. That's why he says with fire, because they are in, as we read in Deuteronomy chapter 33, they are to be pillars of fire. That's who they are to be. So, the Father is saying, these are the people that now must raise up in this hour. Revelation chapter 3. Let's read. Zechariah chapter 3. Let's go to Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 3. And this is the prophetic utterance, again, a prophetic release over our lives, over the remnant bride that I declare in this day. And Yahuwah said to Hasatan, Yahuwah rebuke you, Hasatan. Yahuwah, who has chosen Jerusalem, rebuke you. Yahuwah, who has chosen his remnant bride, rebuke you, Hasatan. Is this not a brand plucked from the fire? You see, is this not a brand plucked by the fire? We have been through the fire of purification for him to raise up now a remnant bride. And Yehoshua was dressed in filthy garments and was standing before the messenger. So we have been with filthy garments standing before the messenger. And he answered and spoke to those who stood before him, saying, remove the filthy garments from him. So I declare and I decree that Abba Yahuwah will remove the filthy garments from you. And to him he said, see, I have removed your guilt. All the guilt and condemnation, all that which the enemy has been speaking in your life, low self-esteem, guilt, condemnation, everything that you are not worthy, you are unworthy, all these words where the enemy has kept you in the darkness of the prison of your mind, today, Abba Yahuwah says, I will remove your guilt from you, and I shall put costly robes on you. And I said, let them put a clean turban on his head. The Father is going to give you a new mindset. The Father is going to put his words that will be spoken in your ears. No longer shall you hear the voice of the enemy telling you how unworthy, how good for nothing you are, and how you are not worthy to be able to stand up as his set apart priest. He says you are worthy. Let them put a clean turban on his head. So from this day, Abba will control the mindset. Then they put a clean turban on his head, and they put garments on him. And the messenger of Yahuwah stood by. Those garments are going to be the garments of righteousness that we are going to declare from Isaiah chapter 61. We will declare those garments. We will know. We receive new garments today. We are receiving a new garment of a new identity. The identity of what Abba Yahuwah declares and decrees over your life. You will receive a new identity in this day, where the Father is going to put a new garment on you. And then he says, and the messenger of Yahuwah witnessed to Yehoshua, saying, and this is now what he declares over you. Thus says Yahuwah, if you walk in my ways, returning back to his ways, returning back to his Torah, coming back to being recalibrated into the truth of his word, where you will start at ground zero and now come back to the truth of his word. You will not reason in your mind, but you will do, you will hear, and you will obey, and you will do. If you guard my duty, then you shall rule my house and also guard my courts, and I shall give you access among these standing here. And then Abba Yahuwah gives us from Isaiah. He is going to be able to recalibrate us onto the highway of, first we are going to declare Isaiah chapter 61. Then we will be put on the highway of holiness, because the door is being opened to put us onto what? What are we being recalibrated onto? We're being recalibrated to come onto the highway of holiness, the highway of set apartness, because it's set apartness in truth. So, this is the declaration over our lives for this new year. The Spirit of Yahuwah is upon me, because Yahuwah has anointed me to bring good news to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound. So he's opening the prisons. That is the word that he declared. That is the key that has been given. This is the year of the key. This is the year where he's giving us the key. And this is the season of the key that's been put in your hand to be able to open those prison doors. He's already opened it. Walk out that which the Father is giving you, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah and the day of the vengeance of our Lord, to comfort all who mourn, because Abba Yahuwah's day of vengeance is coming soon. To point upon unto those who mourn in Zion, to give them embellishment for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. So he's going to give you the oil of joy for mourning. If you've been in a season of mourning, if you've been in a difficult season, he's now going to give you the oil of joy. The garments of praise for the spirit of heaviness. And they shall be called trees of righteousness, a planting of Yahuwah to be adorned. They shall now be called trees of righteousness. Abba is going to raise up his oaks, his trees of righteousness, a planting of Yahuwah to be adorned. And they shall rebuild the old ruins, raise up the former wastes. We will restore his kingdom that needs to come. And they shall restore the ruined cities, the wastes of many generations, and strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the foreigner be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But you shall be called, this is your word, you shall be called priests, as though it was the priests that were being raised up, as the tabernacle was being raised up on the first day of the new year. But you shall be called priests of Yahuwah, servants of our Lord, shall be said of you. You shall consume the strength of the nations and boast in their esteem. Instead of your shame, there he says again, instead of your shame and reproach, they rejoice a second time in their portion. Therefore, they take possession a second time in their land. Everlasting joy is theirs. For I, Yahuwah, love right ruling. That is what the Father wants. He wants us to return back to his right ruling, to his precepts, to his ordinances, to his Torah, to his instructions, from Genesis to Revelation. So it's not just return back to Torah, but it's to be able to allow his Ruach of Yahuwah to be able to crucify our flesh, our evil inclinations, our flesh man. Galatians chapter 5 from verses 19. Works of the flesh. Crucify those works of the flesh. For I, Yahuwah, love right ruling. I hate robbery for a sending offering. I shall give their reward in truth. So you see, the reward is given to us when we are walking in the truth and make an everlasting covenant with them. He will make an everlasting covenant with us. And their seed shall be known among the nations, and their offspring in the midst of the peoples. All who see them shall acknowledge them, and they are the seed Yahuwah has blessed. So understand, this is the true fullness of the house that he is building, the house of Israel. And their seed shall be known among the nations. So you see, this remnant is already what Yeshua spoke. And he said, the Spirit of Yahuwah is upon me. And now Yeshua, in Luke chapter 4, as he comes out from the water, when he has been immersed in the water, and he comes out of the water, he is being immersed. And he speaks these words when he comes into the synagogue. After that whole process, he comes into the synagogue, and these are the words that he's speaking. So who are his true remnant bride? Those that will follow the Lamb wherever he goes in spirit and truth. And their seed shall be known among the nations. Verse 10. I greatly rejoice in Yahuwah. My being exalts in my allure. For he has put garments of deliverance. So we receive a new garment. And the garment that he's giving is the garment of deliverance. He has delivered us. Beloveds, when are we going to walk in the deliverance that he has given us? He has covered me with a robe of righteousness. So we are going to receive, we have received the garment of deliverance. He has delivered us. He has set the captives free. And he has given us the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decks himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the earth brings forth its bud, as the garden causes the seed to shoot up, so the Master Yahuwah causes righteousness. The branch, the bud, Yeshua, is the root, and he's budded, and now he's bringing forth a shoot from him. The Master Yahuwah causes righteousness and praise to shoot up before all the nations. We are to shoot up. We are to come forth. We are to birth now in the fullness of that which the Father has ordained. Now, Isaiah chapter 35, where he says, and there shall be a highway. So we are being recalibrated, being put on a highway. And the way, and a way, and it shall be called the way of set apartness. Recalibrate us in set apartness and in truth. The unclean does not pass over it, but it is for those who walk the way, and no fools wander on it. No lion is there, nor any ravenous beast go up on it, and it is not found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of Yahuwah shall return and enter Zion. That is then when we will return and enter Zion, our promised land, with singing, with everlasting joy on their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. This is the heavenly Mount Zion that we are now being prepared for. Where, remember, it's coming down to the earth. The new Jerusalem is going to come down, and we are being prepared for that, to reign and rule with the King as a pillar of fire in his temple, for his set-apart remnant. And so we close off, and this is the word as we finished our Torah portion, and as we enter, and as they had to enter into their promised land. So let us go to Deuteronomy, not Deuteronomy, into Joshua. Joshua, chapter 1. As they were being prepared, because they entered into the promised land and as they entered the promised land, they had to celebrate the Passover. And so they were being prepared to be able to celebrate the Passover according to Joshua chapter 5 verse 10. And the children of Israel camped in Gilgal, because they crossed over to Gilgal. And the children of Israel camped in Gilgal and performed the Pesach on the 14th day of the new moon at evening, and the desert plains of Jericho. So as they crossed over into the promised land, they had to perform the Passover. So we are preparing ourselves now to perform the Passover. And so this is the words that the Father would say to you. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads, I have given you, as I spoke to Moshe. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea, towards the going down of the sun, is your border. Now listen to what he says. No man is going to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, I will be with you, and do not fail. And I do not fail you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. You need to be chazak, strong and courageous. Only be strong and courageous. This is what the Father is saying to us, that we are going to have to be chazak, amatz, strong and courageous, to be strengthened, to prevail, to be courageous, to be firm, to grow firm, to be secure, to be urgent, to be bold, to keep hold of, to cleave, to take hold of, to be firm, to be strong. Courageous, that's to be strong. To be courageous is to be amatz, be strong, alert, brave, bold, solid, secure, be determined, be strengthened, strengthen yourself, persistent in, steadfastly minded. That is what the Father is saying, strong and courageous. Only be strong and courageous, to God to do all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it right or left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let the book of this Torah depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. Do not let this book of the Torah and the fullness of the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation to depart from our mouths, so that we may be wise in the days ahead. So let us be recalibrated in spirit and truth, in set-apartness and truth, and walk out Abba Yahuwah's purposes and plans, beloveds. May Abba Yahuwah bless you all in this new year. Shalom, shalom. Shana Tova, shalom.